These are the three important periods or stages in prenatal development. Now, you'll be responsible for the other information on this chart, but I want to focus on these three periods, especially in regards to teratogens and critical periods. The embryonic period is an extremely vulnerable time for the embryo, where they're very sensitive to teratogens. There are some reasons why. During this time, one of the main reasons is that the placenta is now fully formed. So the embryo is now receiving direct nourishment and toxins, unfortunately, sometimes from the mother. So basically there's a direct route from mother to embryo. During the germinal period, the placenta is forming. So it is not fully in place. So the zygote is not exposed to as many teratogens during this period because the placenta is not fully formed. Now, the other thing that's interesting, unfortunately, about teratogens is that they are also impactful during the fetal period, but they are more likely to do different types of damage depending upon whether or not they are prevalent during the embryonic period or the fetal period. Specifically, because the embryonic period, organs are starting to develop in terms of structure, teratogens are more likely to actually damage the structural aspects of the organs, whether they be the eyes, the ears, internal organs like the heart. Now, during the fetal period, the organs are more fully developed and function is starting to develop. So teratogens are more likely to actually impact organ functioning during the fetal period. Now, teratogens, what are they? They're any type of environmental stimuli, viral, chemical, that can actually have a negative influence on the developing embryo or fetus. They are not malfunctioning genes. Malfunctioning genes can also result in birth defects. So these are not examples of teratogens. These are examples of teratogens. Fetal alcohol syndrome is a disease or a syndrome that results from alcohol, which is a teratogen. This is just a brief summary of this. So again, remember, you can pause me at any time. Now, the other interesting thing that's going on in both the embryonic period and the fetal period is, in terms of teratogen, is that when the structures are developing, that's when they seem to be most vulnerable to teratogens. So, for instance, arms and legs, in terms of structural development, are really starting to develop during 3.5 to 8 weeks. Therefore, teratogens, that if the embryo is exposed to teratogens during that time period, arms and legs are likely to be affected. Now, there's some overlap between other structures. For instance, the structure of the heart is 2.5 to 6.5 weeks. So again, a teratogen that the embryo is exposed to, say, at 2.5 weeks, will likely impact the heart. The brain system, the brain and the nervous system tend to actually develop over a longer period of time. So their critical period, when they're vulnerable to their development is vulnerable to environmental stimuli, their critical period is longer, and hence they're at risk for most of the pregnancy in terms of brain damage or nervous system damage. So that's a brief introduction to teratogens and the different periods of the prenatal development.